we could really bring untap the intrinsic value of legacy events. We felt that was undervalued in the stock market. And if we could just get the brands on the right platform, we thought this was going to be just incredible. And that was our thesis.
Hi, everybody. Before we get started on our next episode, I'd like to ask you a favor. Would you please, wherever you're watching or listening, would you please subscribe to our program, The Technology of Beauty? There's a little box you can check. And by becoming a subscriber, we will alert you to all new episodes. The other thing I'd love you to consider doing is if you go to thetechnologyofbeauty.com and join our mailing list. So go to thetechnologyofbeauty.com.
The Technology of Beauty is brought to you by Influx Marketing, the digital agency for aesthetic practices. Find out more at influxmarketing.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Technology of Beauty, where I have the opportunity to interview the movers and shakers of the beauty business. And today is no exception. Today in our studios is Nadim Moise, who is the new CEO of Revance. Welcome. How you doing, Nadim?
Excellent, Grant, and thank you for having me here. It's a huge honor to be here for this show.
You're giving me goosebumps. Thank you very much for coming. Nadim is a personal friend. As you just heard, he's the new CEO of Revance, and you know how close I am and how much I appreciate the company Revance. And he flew from New York to be on the show this morning and to share with you, all of you, the future of Revance. Thank you so much for coming here and arriving at LAX and coming here to the studio. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
It's absolutely a pleasure.
Okay. With that said, let's get to know you first. Where are you from?
So I grew up in the Cayman Islands. My parents are of Indian heritage, as you could probably tell. And my schooling, early day schooling, primary, middle, high school was done in the Cayman Islands, and then I came to the U.S. At a very early stage to go to college, and I went to the University of Florida in Gainesville, Florida.
So you're a Gator?
I'm an absolute big Gator.
Wait a second. I'm a Duck. Yeah. Go Ducks. Beat the Gators.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
So
I did not bring my Gator. I should have brought my Gator with me, but yes, I'll do this.
What'd you major in?
So my major was accounting, and University of Florida has a excellent accounting school, Fisher School of Accounting, and that was my major. And soon after that, I got, upon completion of that, I went into industry.
Okay. And what was your first industry position?
So I joined Chrysler Automotive in Michigan as part of their training program. So they had this fantastic management development program, very similar to GE and others, as you know. In heavy industrial sort of background, companies typically have that, and I was just always fascinated by auto and automotive, and I just like a huge automotive guy. So I had the opportunity.
So you're a car guy personally too?
A total car guy.
A gearhead.
A gearhead. A bit of a gearhead.
Okay.
I'm not very public. I don't talk about it, but
well, you just did.
I just did.
The word is out.
Yeah. Yes. So I moved to Michigan from Florida, and my first job with Chrysler Corporation was in a transmission plant in the middle of Indiana, in Kokomo, Indiana. Most people probably have never been to Kokomo, Indiana, but it is in the middle of nowhere. And it was sort of one of those experiences that's really developing. And so you go from like accounting school to making transmissions. Of course, I was on the corporate side of the world, but it's a real developing experience. And so I was there for almost 10 years. And within the first year of my arrival at Chrysler Corporation, we were acquired by Daimler and became Daimler Chrysler. Some of you guys may know that. And I quickly went on to the Mercedes side and spent almost 9 years on the Mercedes side, in various roles of increasing responsibility all over the world. And ultimately, I was in Stuttgart, Germany, at the corporate headquarters, working on mergers and acquisitions. I was on the M&A team for about 4 years.
And you were in Germany during that time?
Yes, I was in Germany at that time.
So you're a numbers guy by background. Did you stay in the CFO type or the financial portion, or did you venture into other areas of Mercedes?
So it was a broad scoped career, let's say. So it started in finance, but then quickly moved into product development and procurement and quality, and then ultimately in corporate strategy and mergers and acquisitions. So
what brought you back to the States?
So it was one of those situations where it was early 2000s, and I was spending a lot of time going back and forth anyway between Germany and Detroit, because we had dual headquarters at that time, and ultimately it was point in our life with the kids being really small, and we wanted to make sure that we make a continued home on the U.S. side. So we ended up coming back to the U.S. And spent time in the U.S. and moved to Atlanta. I actually left Mercedes early 2000 as a result of coming back to the States and spending more time in the U.S. and moved to Atlanta and changed careers to a consumer packaging company in early 2000s.
What company was that?
So it was a small emerging company called Graphic Packaging. It's a consumer packaging company. It was very small at that time, doing about $1 billion or so in revenue. It was a private equity roll-up of consumer packaging. Today, Graphic Packaging is massive. So they're making all the packaging for Coke and Pepsi and Anheuser-Busch, all the containerboard packaging.
Okay.
So when you buy your fridge vendor or your 12th can of Coke, your little case, that packaging is all done by Graphic Packaging. So they had paper mills and converting assets. So I left Mercedes and went to Graphic Packaging, leading up their corporate strategy M&A group, and ultimately picked up additional responsibility, and it was really a build-up story. So it was a roll-up story. We're doing a lot of acquisitions, and that's what I spent a lot of time doing there.
So you did M&A at Mercedes.
Yes.
You did M&A
at Graphic Packaging.
Yeah. And then what was your next position? Was it Revance next?
Yeah. So no.
Okay.
I spent so much time doing deals and really growth companies. After Graphic, I went to Harvard Business School, did a extensive executive program. It's their AMP program, and post that, I went straight into real private equity roll-ups. And so, subsequent to Graphic Packaging, I went to work for a private equity firm out of Greenwich, Connecticut called Littlejohn and Company, and they were doing a carve-out from Maersk, which is one of the largest global shipping companies, and they were going to do a carve-out from Maersk on transportation logistics, and I went to that company as their CFO, and we did a very fast M&A build story. It was a total M&A build story. So that's what I did. I left Graphic Packaging, went to Harvard Business School, and then from there I went to this company called DCLI, which is a portfolio company of Littlejohn and Company, and we built that out for it was very small, and we built it very quickly.
How quickly?
Oh, like 3 years.
Okay.
And
that's going to come up a little later.
Yes, absolutely. We built it in about 3 years, and we sold it to EQT. At that time, which owns Galderma, for almost $1 billion. And
excellent.
And it was a very quick grow and exit story. And so that was my first big build and exit.
Well, it won't be your last, but let's go back. Harvard Business School, you used the acronym AP.
AMP.
Could you explain to the audience what you mean by that?
Yeah, so it's called the Advanced Management Program, AMP, and it's they have it like, I believe now 2 times a year. It typically runs 4 months, and it's on campus. You stay in the dorms, and you are immersed in just case study after case study. So you're typically doing about 10 case studies a day, and it's really focused on strategy and marketing and sort of all aspects of business and development of business. And it's really designed for emerging leaders that are sort of working professionals but are ready to go to that very high senior executive level.
Okay.
And so it was a program I was selected for and sponsored by the board of one of the companies I was working for. And it was just an amazing experience.
I bet.
Yeah.
I'd love to do it.
Yeah.
So at that point, after that $1 billion acquisition, did you take some time off?
I would have loved to. I had an opportunity to be a public company CFO at a automotive company, tier 1 automotive company called Superior Industries. And Superior Industries was about $1 billion in revenue at that time, and they were on the verge of growing to almost $3 billion, and they were evaluating acquisitions in Europe. And so given all my M&A experience and sort of working with companies in high, fast growth, and I loved automotive. That was sort of my background. I spent years at Chrysler and Mercedes.
Sure.
It was a nice fit. And so I joined Superior. We completed the acquisition that they were evaluating a few acquisitions. We did the one in Europe, and it basically made the company to $2.5 billion revenue overnight. Acquired a ton of manufacturing locations in Europe, and we were the number one wheel manufacturer for Mercedes, BMW, Bentley, Porsche, Audi in Europe, and the number one provider of wheels in the U.S. for GM Chrysler, with manufacturing locations in Germany, Poland, and Mexico. So that was the idea. So it was a roll-up of assets internationally with access to key customers, premium customers in Europe, and sort of the big three, which in the U.S. the big three is Ford, GM, Chrysler.
Yes.
in the U.S. So we were dominant in the U.S. and number 2 in the world when you look at the amount of wheels you're producing for the global market.
And what happened? Did you
Yeah.
sell that also?
Yeah. So
Or move on.
Yeah. No. So it was a great experience, and I had this opportunity to, and this was we were living in Michigan, and at some point it was a different experience. This was my second tour of duty from Michigan. The first one was when I was at Chrysler / Mercedes, and this was the second time we had moved back to Michigan for Superior Industries. And by this time, my kids were a little bit older. They were in middle school, and we went back to Michigan, and I was gone. I was traveling constantly. I was in Germany. I was in Poland. I was in Mexico, and I really practically saw my family one day a week, maybe 2, if that. And the family just absolutely hated the snow. They hated the winters. They're like, why are we here?
Right.
You're never here, but we're here. And it's just very strange for them. So I had this opportunity to move back to Atlanta because graphic packaging before was in Atlanta. So we had this opportunity to go back to Atlanta and work for this company in the home building space. And it was a private equity roll-up of home construction. And they were on the verge of taking this company public. And they said, hey, we really need an executive who's already a public company CFO to come here and clean this company up and take it public. But we need it done very, very quickly. We have like 4 months to do this. And could you do this? I'm like, well, that's a big lift.
Uh-huh.
4 months very quick, but I do want to move to Atlanta. And so, and my family was like huge problem. They're like, yeah, you can get it done in 4 months.
Dad, come on.
Come on. Let's
Let's
go back
move
to Atlanta.
back.
We got to go
We
back
like
to Atlanta.
beaches.
Yeah, we like beaches. You know, the snow is killing us in Michigan. So I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do this. You know, at least I'll be home. I won't be gone to Poland for weeks and weeks and all that kind of stuff. So I left Superior, moved back to Atlanta, and it was this really interesting company. It had two parts. One was doing all the interior construction for homes, and we were doing a lot of construction in Orange County. A lot of the Toll Brother homes you see here, we were building them,
Okay.
and we were running also the interior designing for them. And so there was one part of it. The other part was repair and remodel for your interior home, all the surfaces. And it was at that point it was about $400 million in revenue, and so I joined them. Within a few months, we took it public. In 2018, we got it listed on NASDAQ, rang the bell, which is amazing.
Yep.
And then we grew it. We grew it to almost $800 million in a couple of years. It was a M&A roll-up strategy, so we were buying a lot of. It's a very highly fragmented space. So construction is all small general contractors all
Sure.
over this country, and so we're buying those guys out and putting them under our umbrella, putting on one platform, and we're doing construction for Toll, for Lennar, for Pulte, all up and down California, SoCal, NorCal. We put Boise, Idaho was coming up at that time.
Mm-hmm.
That was expanding very quickly. We put up a big construction site there. East Coast, West Coast, we're expanding very quickly. And post public, and then in 2021, we had this just incredible offer from Blackstone, as they were looking to get into that space, unsolicited, and the board looked at it and they said this is perfect, and we ended up selling the business to Blackstone. So it went from being privately held by a private equity sponsor to public,
Mm-hmm.
then to Blackstone, back to
I gotcha.
private. So that was, and it had two pieces. We sold one to Blackstone, the other part we sold to Sun Capital Partners. So it had really two exits there,
Uh-huh.
and that was in 2021.
And then did you stay on, or was that your exit?
Oh,
to
that was
Revance?
exit. That was the
Okay.
exit. I was, and then
I see a common theme here.
So it was great. That was an incredible outcome, and it was in the height of housing market, 2021. It was right after sort of the valuations were really crazy, and you know, like we would build homes in Orange County, and literally the house would be on the market for like a day, and we would have cash buyers buy the house like this.
And multiple offers and
Multiple offers, and this was like,
Above,
and these are $3-4 million homes. Like these are very nice Toll Brother homes, 5,000 square foot. You know the real estate pricing here in California, and Blackstone was just like dying to get into that, right? So we sold that. It was great. Took some time off, and I was going to spend a little bit of time, sort of like, what do I do with my life now? Maybe I write a book, maybe I go, and so I ended up sailing. I was sailing in the Keys. I love to sail.
okay,
I grew up in the Cayman Islands,
sure.
so I love to sail. I was sailing in the Keys. I have a place down in Miami, and this opportunity came up. Crown Labs came up at that time. This is late 2021, and at that point, Crown was just growing. It was an emerging growth company as well.
Had it been acquired at that
So
point?
yeah, so at that point it was Jeff Bedard, who's just amazing. He's a great visionary. Our current, the founder
Right.
of Crown Labs was growing it, just amazing growth. And the private equity sponsor was Hildred Capital at that time,
Uh-huh.
and continues to be Hildred Capital even today. We're privately held today. And Hildred Capital is just amazing. Just their vision and their support has been unbelievable. And so at that point, Crown had just acquired Strivectin from L. Catterton.
Okay.
And this was in September of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And there were thoughts on, hey, what do we do next? It's the company's getting to a nice size. we should evaluate some opportunities, potentially take it public. And as you know, at that time, SPACs were very common. And so that was one of the ideas at that time. Said, look, maybe we could do a SPAC. And so I was engaged in those discussions with the team on Crown to say, hey, we'd love to evaluate a potential take to public markets. You've done this before. We'd love to have you join. And I looked at the story. I looked at the product portfolio, and it was just amazing. The growth was amazing. The vision was just fantastic. And I joined in December of 2021.
You joined Crown.
Crown Labs. Yeah.
And Hildred already owned Crown at that point?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and at that point it was private.
Yes.
And then and then Crown acquired Revance. Is that correct?
That's
and
correct.
at the time, prior to that, Revance was public.
That's correct.
And so you took Revance private.
That's correct.
And there's a common theme here in your professional career, I can see. So, and then Crown changed its name to Revance.
That's correct.
Correct? So now Revance, the new Revance, as of 2025, has both Crown and Revance and other entities, I'm sure.
That's right.
And you're the new CEO of Revance number 2 or whatnot. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
On this new position. So you've gone from the CFO of Crown to the CEO of Revance, and you were the CFO of Revance too. So that's very exciting news for all of us. I'd love to hear your thoughts about Revance. You've studied all of it before the acquisition from Crown to Revance. I know you know all about it. But what are your thoughts about Revance? And then I'm going to ask you also about the future, but even the present, today.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about Revance?
Look, it's an amazing, amazing company, which is why we were so fascinated with it, and we spent a lot of time looking at it. As you know, and you're well aware, and you're a legend in this, and the product lineup at Revance with Daxxify, which is a differentiated product,
right.
Which we absolutely fell in love with. We said, look, this is just an amazing product. And RHA filler by Teoxane, which is another amazing product on the filler side.
Mm-hmm.
We were fascinated by those products. And as we were growing Crown very quickly, organically, we were growing very, very quickly because we were pre the Revance acquisition, we were heavily indexed on the skincare side.
Sure.
Almost 70% of our revenue is coming on the skincare side. We had beautiful brand,
right,
which we continue to have, Panoxyl and Blue Lizard Australian sunscreen, to name a few. And then SkinPen, which is our microneedling device, which is just doing outstanding on the regenerative side.
Yep.
We had those. So we had a good mix. We had 70% on skincare side and about 30% that was in the aesthetic side, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're selling into the HCPs and the med spas, derms and med spas and the doctor side, physician side. And we looked at this and we said, look, this is really an opportunity to get some very nice brands. And we were watching Revance at that point. They were public. Mm-hmm. We could see that the brands were just amazing and they were doing outstanding. However, we felt that there was an opportunity to probably improve on the operational execution. And as we continued to evaluate it, it was clear that we could really untap the intrinsic value of legacy Revance. Mm-hmm. We felt that was undervalued in the stock market. We felt that was really, there was a lot of value tapped in, sort of like held back. And if we could just get the brands on the right platform and focus on acceleration on the commercial side and operationally streamline the business, we thought this was going to be just incredible. And that was our thesis. Mm-hmm. And here we are. It's early October. It's a little bit over 6 months. We completed the acquisition in February of this year, and knock on wood, our thesis is playing out pretty much to what we had expected. We're very happy with where we are. And as you think about Revance on a go-forward basis, today we have 60% of our revenue is sitting on the aesthetic side now, and 40% is sitting on the skincare side that flipped. So post-acquisition, now it's higher indexed on the aesthetic side. And which is a great position to have. We would like to have both the aesthetics and the skincare side. It's a nice portfolio, 13 brands that we, and sort of our view is there's significant intrinsic value in the company. Today, the company's predominantly U.S.-centric. International continues to be a huge opportunity. We haven't really even started. We only have a few products in the international markets today. Stravectin's one. We have the Skin Pen in international markets. We have Biojuve in the international markets, which is our microbiome product, which I know you know Dr. Thomas Hitchcock.
We've had him on the program.
He's on the program. He did an outstanding job with it. People love it. It's an amazing product. And we're just getting started on the international. And ultimately, my view is as you build this company out, international needs to be a bigger part of the revenue portfolio.
Sure.
We're over-indexed in the U.S., which in the U.S. is a great market, and we have a lot more room left here. But we need to start continuing to build out the international piece as we build scale. And then you say, well, within the U.S., what are you doing? Well, we say, look, Daxi is just early stages in Daxi. It's only been out for a few years. We are heavily focused on getting the awareness of Daxi up. And what we've noticed is once we get the awareness up and consumers actually start using it, they really like it. They tell us they love it. The results are amazing. People love the RHA filler by Teoxane. And so it's a lot of it is awareness and making sure that we're doing our part to being good partners with the providers. They are the backbone of this, and we're really making sure we're listening to them and we're in tune to what they need and bringing good products, good science. So we've got 2 great products there. And then micro needling is huge. It's growing on the regenerative side. We've got a enviable position with Skin Pen today in the Skin Pen category. And so we'll continue to grow that. So within the U.S., we've got a huge opportunity in toxin filler. We've got the Skin Pen that's growing. So we've got plenty to do on the U.S. side, on the aesthetic side. And then on the skincare side, we've got Panoxyl, which is amazing. And we've expanded the SKU profile. We've expanded distribution. It's the #1 acne cream and acne product in the U.S. It's got significant share. And then Blue Resort Australian sunscreen is the #1 mineral sunscreen in the U.S. So it's a house of ones we're building there, which is absolutely amazing. And then Stravectin is it's #1 neck cream out there in the channels that we're operating in. So we're grateful for the brands that we have. The team is just really coming together. So as we sort of coalesce the 2 teams, which this is the first year of integration, first year of coming together, we'll continue to finish the play on integration this year, amplify the brands. We've got great brands, amazing brands, and then we get through this year, and then our focus is obviously, besides the international piece, is new product development. How do we continue to bring great ideas? There's a lot we're working on, a lot of developments coming on both the aesthetic side and the skincare side that we're working on that are innovative, we think, and I think it'll be great for the industry.
So through that end, you have an appetite for acquisition of more products or internal development of more products within both skincare and aesthetics?
Yeah, absolutely, both. I would say both. Like if you look at history of sort of our DNA, what we've exhibited is our ability to execute on both. So acquiring Revance, a publicly traded company, taking it private, and obviously we had to do some restructuring to get the operational efficiencies that we knew that were there to have. and then accelerating the growth is a two-pronged approach, right? You're getting the commercial acceleration, and you're also restructuring operations.
Sure.
And again, 6 months into it, we feel very confident in our thesis. So we've been able to pull that one off, and we feel really great with that. The team has just done amazing there. And along with that, we've done a number of bolt-on tuck-under. So we obviously are doing transformational deal. Those are transformational deal. We have acquired other companies along the way. Eclipse was on the PRP side. We acquired, that was in 2022. We acquired some technology from Bimini Health in 2024.
Right.
These are bolt-on tuck-unders that we've done. So we've done both there.
Brad was on the show also from Bimini.
Oh, hello to Brad. Brad's a great friend.
Yeah.
Same. So we've exhibited that we can pull off transformational deals. We've exhibited that we can grow through M&A, tuck-unders, bolt-ons. And on the other flip side is organic growth. And we have been growing Panoxyl organically for the last 5 years significantly. Double-digit significant growth. Blue Lizard has been an organic growth story.
Right.
And SkinPen has been an organic growth story. PRP has been an organic growth story. So we are exhibiting that we can do both. And a big part of that comes on our how we've structured the company. It's a vertically integrated company where we like to have our own manufacturing. We like to have our manufacturing right here in the United States. We're pedantically focused on that. We want to make sure we control the supply chain. Gives us a competitive advantage, we believe. We've got 3 locations now. We have a manufacturing complex in Johnson City, Tennessee. We've got New York, California. That's where we have the toxin facility. And then we're also building out with a partnership in New Hampshire, additional toxin capability, which will be massive. So we're definitely investing in manufacturing, and we believe that owning your supply chain, your manufacturing, your R&D function, your formulations group, your quality and test labs. We've insourced our quality and test labs in-house. We don't send it to third parties. Gives you competitive advantage. You can move faster in the market. Your development time is quicker, and it really gives you a huge competitive advantage to your competitive set vis-a-vis a company that's simply marketing and distributing a product from a third party.
Yep. And you're not sharing the profit with a third party.
Exactly.
You're not paying a licensing fee.
Yes.
Yeah. So to that point, when he says Daxi, for those of you who have been living under a rock, just kidding, he's referring to Daxify, which is a unique toxin, endotoxin. It's like the other one that begins with a B. In any event, that softens wrinkles and also can be used for medical purposes also, which we'll get to in a moment. But it's a very unique product, and I have it in my face and my forehead, and I know a fair amount about it. And the FDA approved it for a different duration than the previous products, such that they approved it for 24 weeks, which is a longer duration. And also there's some skin quality changes that I can talk about. Nadim cannot, but I can tell you that we see brilliance of the skin as well as longer duration, which is an attribute. And as more people hear about it, I think you're going to find out, if you do split forehead studies like I've done with patients, you will actually enjoy the Daxi or Daxify brilliance as well as longevity. Now, having said that, I know you can't say any of that, but as a not only a provider but a consumer, I can. So having said that, as you look forward, are you going to pursue medical indications for this toxin? Because I know in the other toxin, over 50% of the revenue is actually over $2 billion a year of the 4.2 billion revenue. More of it is therapeutic than aesthetic. I know you have some ongoing studies on a going forward basis as the head of this company. There are many individuals who benefit greatly for their various medical challenges with this toxin, or with toxins like this derived from the botulinum. Are you planning on pursuing that as a company?
Yeah, look, it's a great point. Daxxify is just amazing. It's
It is.
amazing.
I
And
agree.
as you know, we have an indication for cervical dystonia
Yes.
today. And so that's our first.
Right.
We've have been working on, when we acquired, the company was working on getting additional indication for limb spasticity, right? So that was undergoing
Right.
when we stepped in February of 2025. Look, we think it's a huge opportunity for us. We continue to evaluate it, right? And we continue to evaluate and think about what's the right place for us to play. And there are additional indications other than CD that we're looking at that said, look, this could really make a lot of sense for us. One of the discussions, one of the opportunities could be potentially depression at some point, right? That there's some real studies there, and you're the scientist here, so you know all the benefits of that. So we're very intrigued by looking at additional opportunities there. It's still early days for us.
The opportunities are enormous.
And the opportunities are
I would
enormous.
encourage you to pursue them.
Yeah, opportunities are enormous, and we certainly understand that we have something in Daxi that could really be beneficial to patient outcomes, and it's a matter of thinking through what's the right way and what's the right approach and what's the right indication for us to pursue and what's the right timing for that.
Sure. As you look forward in terms of Revance, there's so many opportunities, and you've created these efficiencies on the cost savings, and you've increased your sales and your revenue, which is ideal. Can you share with us what you see in terms of the future for Revance? You've been involved in so many acquisitions and all. I mean, I see a history here.
Yeah.
You repeat the same behavior.
Yes.
So
Look,
tell me what do you see?
Absolutely. Look, so it's really great that we have two real segments, right? Skincare and aesthetics. So that gives us a lot of opportunity to evaluate and really think about, okay, where is it that we would like to continue growing? Now, ideally, we would like to be able to grow both sides of the business.
Sure.
There's some very interesting things coming on the skincare side. There's some really great assets that potentially could be coming to the market. So we're intrigued by that, and including I would also think about, hey, is there an opportunity to buy a skincare brand that's potentially international? Because one of the aspirations that we have, as I mentioned earlier in the program, is to grow internationally, right? So there could be some opportunity there. We could go look at, and there's some really interesting assets that are coming to market. So there's that piece of it on the skincare side. And again, today we're in acne, we're in anti-aging, we're in sunscreen, but we still have a lot of other categories we're not in, right?
Absolutely.
As you know. So we can really go into there on the therapeutic side, then also on the beauty side. We have some opportunities there, and so we're going to evaluate that, and we're excited about that. On the aesthetic side, as you know, regenerative is huge. It's the talk of the town.
Right. Exosomes.
And we're doing our own development there. Autologous is the name of the game there, right, on exosomes.
Absolutely.
As you know. So we've got some interesting things coming from our side on that. This is all organic growth that we're working towards bringing to the market. And so we could see some opportunities there as you think about M&A, as you think about acquisitions. Those are some areas that we can continue building out. And again, I would expand the aperture to more than just U.S., right? Like there's also an opportunity to international. So when we think about both segments, it's okay, what can we do in the U.S.? What can we do internationally? How does it augment the portfolio? We'd like to have balanced growth on both sides of the portfolio. So one's in aesthetics is roughly 60%, the other one's 40% today. So how do we continue building both sides? We think that it's important to keep both sides growing. And then you throw the dimensionality of international market access. I think that's a huge upside for us. We're in that nice size today that we can go get these deals done. The team is really very capable to do these sort of more complex kinds of deals and execute with high level of confidence. And then organically, it's all around do you have the right team in R&D and formulations and manufacturing to be able to execute once you do that. So that's where we see. Those are some of the areas that I would point to as we think about additional growth.
Well, your plate is certainly very full between the expansion internationally and also expanding both skincare and aesthetics. You definitely have a very full plate. You've been through so many industries. When I think about it, here's a car guy, a gearhead, a gator, who then is wheels and construction and acquisition and M&A and throw in a little business school, and now you're in the beauty market.
Yes.
So what business do you have in the beauty market? Just kidding. Yeah. It's the business market, really, but it's beauty. Market. Well, I'd like to welcome you to the aesthetics business, and this is the technology of beauty. This is the beauty market I've been in my entire career.
Yes.
I'm curious what you see as somebody who's just recently immersed in this beauty business, with all your experience internationally and nationally, these various corporations, these various entities. What do you see in your crystal ball? If you look 5-10 years out, from your perspective, what do you see in the future? What would the world look like 5 years from now in the beauty business?
Look, it's hard to not talk about AI in any vernacular when you think about 5 years out, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's just changing our lives dramatically, and the life cycle of any AI discussion is like really short. So whatever I say here will be outdated by the time we finish the show, because someone's figured something else out on AI, and it's, I have this view that ultimately, is it beauty, and we can start with beauty, but the trend is definitely getting more and more towards bespoke treatments, right? Mm-hmm. And today that happens to a great extent within the practice, right? Within a physician's overview, right? So it's very specific to that one patient, and that the needs of that, and then the physician's going to do their ultimate best to deliver them the best possible outcome. Right. It's a very highly catered experience, right? Mm-hmm. However, that doesn't happen across all spectrums. So when you think about the skincare side, it's actually polar opposite, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of
one size fits all.
One size fits all, right? Mm-hmm. So, I can clearly see where, the AI and technology enhancements, skin scans, and sort of really dialing in on what is it that your skin needs. How do you really improve the healthy side of the skin, right? And I'll go from within the aesthetics or even on skincare side, right? It's how do you improve the healthy and the life cycle of the skin, and how do you make it improved, right? I can only envision a world where those answers to those questions are bespoke, not only in the aesthetic, sort of in a very controlled environment within a, as you're meeting with a dermatologist or a plastic surgeon, but even on the retail side, you have to imagine that there's a world where it's going to be very specific to you. Now, how that happens, I can't answer that, right? I'm not sure if there's going to be like these scanners you can go look in your app, and as you walk into Sephora, and then it's going to say, oh, go to these products, because these products are the right products for you, for your skin condition, right? We could have that environment where it's very highly customized to you, and that's what the consumer is looking for, right? Like they want to spend money for sure, but they want instant results, instant gratification. That's one parameter. Second, I want it to be specifically catered for me, and sort of this big wide net, and maybe 30% of the time the product actually works. We're gravitating away from that, right? As we get so I think you think about 5 years from now, This is, of course, big, broad strokes answer to your question. I'm not getting into the science of things.
That's
you guys
fine.
are better at the science on this. But I think the trend thematically is around very catered products and services to beautify, to improve and augment aesthetics. And not just in a typical environment where it's bespoke to begin with by definition, but also in a sort of a mass model. I think you're going to expect to see that, and I think technology is going to get us there. I mean, it's cheap.
I would totally agree.
and that's where I think that's where it's going to go.
Mm-hmm. I would entirely agree. People want their own personalized approach to optimize their skincare
Right.
and optimize their beauty,
Right.
Their appearance, and so
Right.
forth.
Yeah, and sorry, just to add on to the second piece of that would be also a more DTC, right? I think there's this trend of, hey, DIY, right? And do it yourself sort of thing, right? And people, I think, generally want to do it themselves, right? To the extent they can. And so I think that trend is exhibited in other industries, and I think that will also be a propellant of that behavior.
Well, now you get to my one of my true loves, and that is True Facial, a home-based approach, and that it's geared towards you specifically, and you can do it in the convenience of your home, and you don't have to necessarily see a practitioner. So that's a whole nother subject.
I love that idea. I can't wait to try it.
Yeah, well, I do it every week, and I love it, and this old skin loves it too. I want to thank you. I could talk to you for the rest of the day. I want to thank you so much, Nadim, for coming here and sharing your thoughts and your wisdom with us. I look forward to following you and the advancement of Revance over the next decade, and I know you're going to crush it.
Yeah.
It's so exciting to see what you have in mind.
Yep.
And I can just imagine how fun it's going to be.
Yep. Thank you so much, Grant. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. I do have a small gift for you.
You do?
If you give me the opportunity.
No, wait, before you do, I don't accept any cash remuneration at all. No one can pay to get on this show, and there are no sponsors of this show. So I may or may not be able to accept this gift. What is it?
Oh, it's a nice little quarter zip jacket.
Ah, I love it.
There you go.
I will wear it proudly.
There you go.
Fantastic. I love it.
Well, hopefully you like it.
I appreciate it very much. You'll see me in it.
Yep.
Next week I'll be
When you
wearing
go
it.
jogging, you can wear
Yes,
that.
absolutely. When it starts getting cold up in Sun Valley, you'll see me jogging in this. Thank you.
You
I
are welcome.
appreciate it very much. So, all of you, I'm sure you've enjoyed watching this episode of The Technology of Beauty, and you can clearly see that I am interviewing a mover and shaker of the beauty business now and in the future. Nadim, it's been an absolute pleasure. You take care. Safe travels back to Atlanta. Give my regards to your family. I know you have a wedding to go to. And once again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Right.
Take care. And thank you very much for joining us on this episode of The Technology of Beauty, where I have the opportunity to interview the movers and shakers of the beauty business. And as you saw, today was no exception.